So they actually become weighted by these parts, but and they're malleable looking. One thing that I'm doing within a lot of these pieces, particularly these two, they look as though they've fallen and they have maybe been smushed a little bit. So when you walk into this piece and you can't see her back hand, she looks as though she's perhaps falling into the floor. And then as you go up to her to maybe reach out to help her up, you don't know if she's looking to pull you in or for you to help. So that's a reference to some of the issues that come along with intergenerational trauma when pattern behaviors are not dealt with within a family that has been affected by trauma. It's when the person who has been abused becomes the abuser. So you look over here and that figure is also pointing at you, making a reference to a gun, but the gun's not there. Again, referencing pattern. The gun doesn't actually have to be there. Another thing with these figures, the surface, I painted them so that they always retain a wet terracotta look. The fact that they look like chocolate is just a happy accident. The initial idea was that they would look like they were wet clay. The reason for this is that Hummel figurines and a lot of monuments are initially made in terracotta, and then a mold is made of them, and the terracotta is the part that's discarded. So going again with the idea of the fall, the malleability, that's why they still look like they're wet clay. Of course, the reference to wet clay, it makes reference to the possibility of the memory of trauma, but it also makes the reference to the possibility of hope, because they are still malleable. So keeping all of those things in mind, you can use those cues in looking at all of the pieces. I'll go around and tell you a little bit about some of the other ones. Oh, and with this figure standing up here, in the original installation, there was a heavy reference to the raft of the Medusa that, excuse me, and she was facing the other way off at a distant horizon that was not actually there. And she's making a lot of references to Heil Hitler, Lady Liberty, a call for help. So you'll notice a lot of mixed questioning that I'm doing, where I'm leaving a lot of ambiguity and leaving a lot of questions up to the viewer. And in a lot of the pieces, inflicting the viewer within the scene. So like she's reaching out to you, she's possibly calling out to you, he might be shooting you. There's a lot of questions going on, a lot of circular questions.
Okay. Hold on to me.
This piece is called Inherent Longing, and I made this piece